we deliver the news to your door. Breaking news, top headlines, the big story, the latest update, and all you need to know are only available on the African Actions Network, 2A Radio and TV. The only independent and balanced online news network. Broadcasting from America to the world. We inform, communicate, educate, and
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Chuchu Alex Jones, and joining me today is Mr. Ali Masare and Barbie Broble. And welcome to the Business and Economic Forum on 2A Radio. Thank you guys for joining.
Thank you, Mr. Jones, for hosting us.
You're welcome. Mr. Broby, how are you?
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. And Mr. Mazale, welcome to the show tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Broble, and thank you for the invitation. It's an honor and pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to dive straight into the topic and discussion tonight, which is economic youth empowerment. And we're also going to discuss the current financial and banking situation and how does it affect us as Liberians and how does it affect Liberia. But before we get into that, Mr. Masare, could you please give us a little bit of information? I think you're new to the forum. Tell us about yourself and your organization.
All right. Thank you again, Mr. Jones. My name is Aliyu Masale Agoba Ali. I'm the founder of the Liberian Leadership Summit. My wife and I. The goal of the Liberian Leadership Summit, the reason for the formation, is to bring together leaders and speakers, motivational, inspirational speakers from the diaspora and those that are in Liberia under the same roof to discuss leadership development in Liberia. So our target audience are emerging leaders, women leaders, religious leaders, student leaders, and anybody that want to have some development in their leadership skills. So we hosted our first summit this year, last year, December 28th, at the Bella Casa Hotel in Liberia. And it was successful. We're going to do that hopefully this year again. We are planning that. So I also co-partner with one of my friends. His name is Delano Bryan, and he's in charge of the activities in Liberia. So that's about the Liberia Leadership Summit.
Excellent. All right, Miss Bobby, can you and just go by? I just go by Chuchu's.
Okay.
Or Alex. I know it's been a while since we conducted a forum on Twitter. As you know, we all know we do Fridays and Mondays on Twitter, and we do Fridays on Truth FM. So that's our schedule. So how has things been with you and your business and everything, Bobby?
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Alex. My name is Barbie Broble. I'm a financial professional. I've been in the financial services industry for nearly 2 decades, and my focus, my passion is financial literacy and financial education. Business for me, I don't know if we can just jump straight in.
Yeah, sure. Let's dive straight
I
in.
know we're talking about business and economics with regards to youth development. But I would just start off by talking about what I do. My business is doing well right now. As we all know, over the last 3 days, the financial markets have been very turbulent in America with the closing down of 2 major banks. SVB, which is Silicon Valley Bank in California, and another one.
Mhm.
It has really tested the strength of the U.S. financial industry as far as regulations and all of that were put into place after 2008. Uh, I work in safe investments. So during times like these, my business does well, and so I leave it there.
Why is that?
Well, because I operate primarily in the insurance sector, and that has traditionally been the safest in financial services. Uh, the banking sector has been relatively safe as far as on the banking side, deposits and giving out loans and so forth. But on the investment side, is more risky, and part of that risk unfolded. There's something in the industry we call market risk and legislative risk. So those are two things that can affect you that you have no control over. You have no control over market risk, what happens in the stock market. You really have no control over what legislators decide to do, what kind of regulation. Like I listened to the president, Joe Biden, president of the U.S., um, and I listened to his statement very carefully. He suggested that there could be a tightening of regulation. Some regulations were put in place after the 2008 crash. Those regulations were rolled. Some of them were rolled back,
Okay.
especially the ones for small and medium-sized banks. It was rolled back by the Trump administration. Okay, so I think from the looks of things, uh, Biden may be thinking about re-implementing some of those regulations to protect the stock market and the economy.
But I think it's beyond his control, quite frankly. I mean, what can he do? You know, the more regulation is just going to stifle the market, the growth that you're having now, and that's going to affect unemployment. It's going to affect investors' confidence. So I think there's a lot. There's very little that in a free market that the government can and should do. In my opinion, these guys basically mismanaged. They didn't have the right risk um, management. And my only disappointment, why um, I think they should save the banks, but you cannot keep saving people for making bad decisions. We did it in
Yeah,
2008. You remember when we saved all the Citibank, including your industry, the AIG, and then after they gave them the money, then they start taking big bonuses.
yeah. Well, if you notice, if you listen to the president, he was very specific, and he said this time around they're not bailing out the bank. And the words he used, he said they're not going. This mistake will not be borne by the taxpayers. That means we're not bailing you out.
Man,
That's the
that's
first thing.
Yeah,
because if the Federal Reserve is the one who's and the FDIC is giving guarantee, where are they getting the money from?
yeah, and that's the
Exactly.
question. Can you save the bank without bailing out the bank?
They already did. They're already using taxpayer money because the FDIC rule is $250,000 insurance. So any financial person, and these are sophisticated investors, Silicon Valley Bank, you know that your deposit is only insured per account 250,000.
Hmm.
So what if the bank collapses? Why should the government come and bail you out? If you went and made a mistake at your small bank, you understand, or your insurance policy, like when you were on the last time when you talked about the policy and certain things you need to do and you don't do it. The Federal Reserve doesn't come and tell you, say, okay, you know what, we're going to just cover you anyways. So I think it's really unfair, you know, in this country that whenever the big and the billionaires and the millionaires get in trouble, they run. These people have been making profit, record profit, bonuses. Let them eat the cost. Then they won't take the risk they've been taking.
I think that's what's happening. I think that's what's happening because they're not bailing out the banks this time around like they did last time. Number one. Number two, they're not bailing out the individual investors. So if you bought, I know you're a trader, Alex. If you bought stocks from, and we discussed this earlier. If you bought stock, if you took the risk and bought stocks for banks, right? You know you're taking a risk. The government can't bail individual investors out because then it's like, then what's the risk? There's no risk.
But let me tell you how they're building up. So let's say I bought stock in JP Morgan or in another bank. Okay. When anytime the government intervenes in a market, or let's say I shorted Citibank.
Yeah.
I looked at the bank, the books of all the banks, and I say, you know what? These guys are holding treasury security. These treasury interest rates going up. Because that's how traders make their money. You know, that's how you create a market. So I go and do all this research and say, Citibank should not be at this price. They should be at lower price. Yeah. And then Silicon Valley Bank goes and gets into a mess. And the Federal Reserve comes and now gives guarantee to all bank or deposit. That distorts me. So I should make money on, you know, the failure, you know, of the bad management. So you still in a way, free market is free market. 250,000 is the limit. The banks that are not strong enough to hold deposit money beyond 250,000, let them fail.
But if these banks fail, there's going to be a ripple effect on the economy, right?
Exactly.
There's already a ripple effect on the economy.
So how low do you want us to go? I think that's why the government is just trying to intervene so that.
But the intervention, the government is already intervening by raising interest rates. The intervention from 2010, the quantitative easing, when they gave these banks money, that's the problem we are facing today with the inflation. So it's like there's no way, you know, there's no free, you know, free market. Once you come in there with the government coming there and give quantitative easing, where it creates moral hazard. That means the banks that were supposed to be doing things the right way, they're like, you know what? Screw everybody else, man. I'm gonna pay my CEO $30 million. I'm gonna, because what? When I fail, I'll go to the Federal Reserve discount window. So the problem we're in today with the high inflation is because of the intervention. If they would allow the free market to take its course, yes, it will be hardship, but things will be better. It happened in Iceland. During 2008, what it did, they shut down all the banks. The banks are irresponsible. They put the CEO in jail. Iceland, within 2-3 years time, recover even stronger. And we on this end, we still babysitting, you know, 200-year-old banks and investment firm and Goldman Sachs and Citibank and AIG and all that stuff. You know, so that's the problem.
You think that same method can work for America? Because I think Iceland is a smaller market, so you can be able to do that and you can be able to succeed. But with America, that's
Japan, Germany, all these other countries. I mean, because the problem here, here's the contingent risk. Wherever the Fed does in America to build their banks up, every other country, India, Sweden, everybody's going to do the same thing. They're going to say, oh, you're building out the U.S. bank. Oh, we're going to build our own crazy banks too. And then what happens to the world? You see what I'm trying to say?
So the CEO of SVB Bank, his name is Greg Becker. So he sold 12,500 shares in February.
Correct.
Making 3.6 million in return. What do you guys think about that?
That's a coincidence. That's a coincidence, Bobby. You didn't know.
Really? Wow.
You didn't see it coming.
There were the whole bunch of the staff. All of them executed the auction. stock option.
Okay.
I mean,
Probably their relatives and friends and everybody.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, these usually happen with the financial institution.
yeah.
They have
So
that insider information, and they try
correct.
to, yeah, and they just try to, you know, mitigate whatever risks or whatever expenses that the issue going to cause them. So that's all you
Yeah,
just.
on top of it, Ali, on Friday, what a bank were going under the bed of pay themselves bonuses
Yes.
for last year. Pay
Yeah.
Oh
you
wow.
just collapse or bank, you know what I mean? Because think about it. Forget the depositors.
Yeah.
These banks have like the other transaction, investment banking, there's loans, there's other securities that are all messed up now. They don't know what to do with them. So the depositor, I can agree, the depositors, even if you build a depositor, you pay the insurance, everybody get their money back. But then what happens to all the other transaction, the transactional risk that's going to, trickle down to other banks, other counterparties. So this, it's crazy, but I think it's like almost rigged in a way. The idea of the market is you make stupid mistake, you pay the financial consequences.
So it's work in favor of the big banks also. That's why you
Well,
call it.
absolutely, I think it rigged in favor of the bigger banks and the billionaires and the big. So it almost like the Federal Reserve. It's almost like that's their buddies.
Yeah. But these guys were one of the major excuses would be that they provide employment for people, and so they
Look,
they
the
are not.
idea,
Yeah.
the Federal Reserve. My idea, which I think Africa should implement, the Federal Reserve. The same way how they have districts all around, people should be able to save their money directly with the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve should be open. In other words, if you can choose between going to a private bank or going and just putting your deposit or your investment, just the way you can buy or what you call government bonds directly from the treasury. You don't have to go to Morgan Stanley to buy. You can go on their website and buy it. So the idea that even they can't protect the economy with all building out irresponsible people. No, they should open a facility and say, oh, you know what? If you want to have a checking account, right? Go online to the Federal Reserve and move your money to the Federal Reserve checking account. Why can't they do that? There's nothing to me that prevented them from doing that.
Do you want the government involved with your finances to that extent?
Well, the government is involved. I mean, technically speaking, if your money is in a bank, wherever the government wants to do or know about you, the government already knows you can do whatever. So, to me, if the Federal Reserve is going to be the lender of last resort, so why go to trickle down economics? Why go to a bank and before it comes to the people, open, and they did it during the financial crisis where they were giving us more direct loans from the Federal Reserve, business loan for the first time. And I remember when I was in college, we were having a discussion about that, and I said, why couldn't they do that? Where, for instance, communities like the Black community, right? Part of the reason why I believe that they're underserved is because these banks do not grant them access to capital. So if the Federal Reserve were to, extend lending to communities, right, that could take advantage of it to build their communities where they don't get a loan from any commercial bank, guess what? The commercial banks now will be in competition and they will lend to those communities that are underserved. But the idea that you can't do anything without going through a bank that's controlled by shareholders that all have the same view is what causing the inequality in America. Huge inequality. Huge investment. There's it's not going to where it needs to go. You're building up like the guy just sold 6 million shares. He paid himself on Friday. Why you build that kind of man?
Yeah, and I know these banks, these investors or the owners of this bank, they engage into a lot of malpractices. Like the other time, I was
Yeah.
reading on overdraft. one other bank I forgot.
Correct.
Yeah, I forgotten the name of the bank or the CEO of the bank. Man, the guy was using the overdraft money to buy his own yacht, and guess what? He named that yacht the overdraft. So, so yeah, so yeah,
Oh man.
yeah. I'm like these guys, and they kind of just bring it to our faces like they and just you can do nothing about it. But that's what money does. He gave you.
He named
So
the yacht the overdraft.
Yeah.
yeah, the overdraft. So you are
Wow.
taking you are taking people who are going to overdraft and paying all the fees for overdraft and just shipping that money to buy his yacht. It just
No,
Well,
it's
let's
ridiculous.
talk about this. The Federal Reserve raising interest rates, especially in the wake of the crashing of these two banks. So they were set to raise rates, what, in a week or two?
Yeah. I think week
On
time.
the 22nd?
they-
Okay.
they're increasing
What do you
it
think
again.
is going to happen now that banks are crashing? Are they still going to raise rates?
They should, because if you don't, then the problem that's leading to the bank crash, because then what
Mhm.
happened? Bond yields will
Yeah.
continue to go up, because the inflation is going to affect earning multiples. It's going to
Okay.
affect economic activity, which is the worst thing. So it's like, if you're sick, you go to the hospital. If you need surgery, you take surgery. You go home.
Yeah.
It's painful. It's sad, right?
Yeah.
What are you prolong this thing? The U.S. economy, to me, the European economy and the U.S. economy, they are in serious problem. But
Hmm.
nobody wants to fix it until something breaks.
And somebody asked me, these big financial companies or the governments, don't they know when something's about to happen? Wouldn't they fix it? And I said, well, there's always a blind spot, right? There's always a blind spot. You can only fix what you see.
That's what
But
I'm saying, man.
usually
It's
the
a
thing
lot.
that takes people down, the thing that takes economies down, you can't see
You
it.
can't see it.
Now,
Yeah.
you got to raise interest rates on the one hand to
Mhm.
stabilize, to cool off the overheated economy. Then at the same time, your bank's starting to crash. What are you going to do? It seems as if they raise rates, it could destabilize. What I think is going to happen, they're going to postpone it a little bit. Alex, what do you think? And
No,
Ali?
I mean, I'm listening to Bloomberg now, and
Mm-hmm.
they were thinking of raising 50 basic points.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think was it Goldman came out the morning and said that they don't believe that the Fed will raise rate. And then
Yeah.
I think another economist said that they will have to do it for the credibility, at least 25 points. Even
Okay.
though they
So
start
25 points.
the CPI inflation number will be out tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
If I was on the Federal Reserve board, we are going to raise rate.
So let's shift focus a little bit here because
Mm.
I was looking at the market ticker, and I noticed that cryptocurrency
Going up.
has shot up like through the roof.
Wow.
And
Not just cryptocurrency. The commodities, silver, gold.
yeah, gold. Yeah,
In fact,
gone
I went to
way
buy
up.
some gold today. It was so high, like the ETFs of gold,
Oh,
GDX.
really?
Yes, because when I woke up this morning, that was my play, right?
Uh-huh.
When I saw the crypto market, I didn't think they were going to go 15 points up,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then I noticed silver was going up, all the minings and the commodity, and why? Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot. People know that the government will have to print more money to save these
Yeah,
banks.
the bank.
And if they're printing more money, that's more inflation. So what do you
Yeah,
go to doing inflation? You go to commodities, you go
yeah,
to real
gold.
asset.
Real asset
The market has
that
a
you can't water
way,
down.
these are smart, sophisticated investors, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what to do. When your money on the line, you know what to do, And that was my first approach. I look at the goal, I was like, okay, this money that just go this whole week, just buy
Mm-hmm.
gold, buy
Yeah.
silver. Those investments and those commodities, because either way they do it,
Yeah.
you need some real hard asset, because once wherever they do that, the European body's going to follow, and then Asian are going to follow. So by the time we're done, there will be trillions of dollars more in the economy.
Exactly, especially this week is a week to watch. Wow.
But
how does this affect Liberia?
That's why I want to also go to yeah, a lot. You know, you weren't on the show last December. It was Carter, myself, and Dylan. And we asked to give our assessment of what's going to happen to the economy, you know. And this was in December, you know, at the time we had the tech, you know, companies falling. And at least my view was it's going to be bad. Either way, whether inflation goes up or not, because the difference, we don't have a sustainable economy. We don't have jobs. We don't have manufacturing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the people are saying inflation abroad at 9%. To me, it's more like 90%. You know, they're lying with that number talking about 9%. How can inflation be 9% in a country that exporting where inflation is 9%?
Well, is inflation in America, is it really 6.5%?
8%.
Well, here's the thing. You know, the way inflation is calculated has been changed. I think it was changed around the early 1980s.
Correct.
Because that's when inflation first hit double digits.
Right.
And you know, with inflation, especially in America, you're talking about paying out Social Security benefits where there's something called cost of living increase.
Correct.
That the government pays out. So what happens when inflationary numbers keep going higher and higher? That means the government has to pay more.
Correct.
So those guys pulled out certain things from the inflation calculation to make the inflation numbers drop like that. So we don't even have the real inflation numbers.
But you can go to the grocery store, go buy milk, go buy, you know, that you don't even need to listen to what number they pull off from the Labor Department. I know the price I was paying for a gallon of milk or eggs or whatever, they double.
Yeah, double.
But
forget about that. Look at things like automobiles.
Exactly.
Those things are not included, I don't believe.
Right. It's not included I think it's not included in the core inflation, which takes all the gasoline. But right. But basically, you know, in Liberia, going back to, and maybe Ali, you can touch more on this since your organization, you know, is operating there. I worry for Liberia because, you know, Liberia is like going down a cliff, and you know, is that people in a car, just get this picture, they're blindfolded and they're drunk and they're going down a cliff and they're celebrating. That's Liberia.
Blindfolded and drunk, dang.
Blindfolded,
not bad enough.
Correct. And going down this cliff 100 miles per hour, and they have no idea on what they're doing. Because look at the situation here. Look at the debt Liberia has. We have now $1.9 billion. In 5 years, you know, and that's the part, and unfortunately, because a lot of people don't know, they don't go through the budget and the central bank, and so they don't know. You know, I don't think, and most people even read the central bank debt and, you know, to see the cumulative debt. In 5 years' time, this government borrowed $1.1 billion on top of the revenue they collected. They have nothing to show for it. That's debt that, you know, our grandchildren are going to pay that debt.
We're going to have to pay back.
Okay? And they have no idea the consequences of it. They talk about road. All right. The estimate, I think, was $1 million per mile, which is extremely high. With the money that they borrowed over the last 5 years and they've spent, they could have built every road in Liberia from Cape Mount to Maryland twice.
Well, I mean, you know, when it comes to Liberia, I like to think about Liberia like this. this is a country that I was born and raised in. I understand Liberia inside out,
Okay.
right? I know Liberians would like to talk. We've
Okay.
always been talking. Our problem comes about where we need to act, right? At some point, we need to start to act. Now, the acting part of things, it seems simple, but it's not simple. And
Okay.
for people who are actively like Aliu, he will tell you that the acting part of it is very hard. I mean, literally, the analogy of a bucket of water to drop in a bucket. How many drops does it take to make that bucket full?
Right.
Tell me how many drops.
And
Millions of drops.
yeah,
And nobody wants to be the first drop, but we want to talk about how many drops
Right.
we need.
yeah,
But this
yeah,
governance is hard.
yeah. And Bobby, I think that was against the backdrop that I had this vision to have this Liberian Leadership Summit. There are three tenets on which this leadership summit was formed on. One is that everybody is a leader. Two, everything rises and fall on leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And three, we don't we don't change bad leadership with no leadership. We change bad leadership with good leadership. And how we do that is by giving our own contribution. So we Liberia, we know how to condemn a lot of times, but enough with the condemnation and not doing anything. So we decided to go to Liberia
Mm-hmm.
last year to do our leadership summit. So you give the analogy about the drop of water in a
In a
bucket.
bucket.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
You
also,
see,
if you could tell us a little bit about, some of the resolutions and stuff that you guys came up with.
okay, yeah, I'll tell you that. So my thing is, we are trying to. We are not targeting 100%. We are trying to at least teach leadership principles that are valuable to at least 10% of our people. So we are
Okay.
trying to, instead of going to 100% of the bucket, we believe that if we
Realistic.
can inspire 10% of people, who really believe in whatever we are trying to achieve, we believe that they can go out there and inspire other people. So there are sectors of the environment that we look at. For instance, we have like the religious sector. During our during our summit, we gave free tickets to religious leaders to come. Because I think these are the people that already have influence on a good number of Liberians, like your pastors, your imam, and whatsoever. So
Yes, that's correct.
yeah,
Hmm.
so we want to start at least within the church. So if we can teach at least get maybe five good leaders or pastors who will really teach the message and the principle of Jesus or whatever the leadership, the example, then we think that they
Okay.
can be able to convince people in their congregation to at least try to be better leaders for themselves, and the country will benefit. So these are some of the things that we're trying to do. But
How
again,
many people attended your event?
that we have over 120 or so people.
Wow.
Yeah, so
120 young people attended your event.
yeah, we have
Wow.
it was a diverse crowd. We had young people in majority, but we have
Okay.
few other people there too. And I was really surprised. I mean, doing a harder day to host something like that, leadership summit in Liberia, and we have there are a lot of people in attendance. It was really surprised, but it was encouraging to me. So that's why really motivating us to continue on this, because everybody was like, we need such a thing in this country, and we decided that we
Okay.
would go back
Hold
this
on a second. Alex, I think Magdalene is backstage. Do you know how to
to
Uh,
bring up.
bring her in?
um, let me see here.
Yeah. So go ahead, Leo.
3 minutes. Let me just hold on. Let me see if Jen.
Yeah. So leadership, especially leadership development, is critical. I
Yes.
believe when we're talking about the drops in the bucket,
Yeah.
is really leaders,
Yes.
because leaders do.
Yes.
leaders do, leaders act
Mm-hmm.
to show to others. Here's what I think of leadership: look at what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
and then copy me.
Yeah, but
Is that
that's
accurate?
yeah, that's the core of leadership, influence. We just use one word, If
Yeah.
I see, if I see what Bobby is doing and it's good, and
Hmm.
he can be able to influence me to really strive to do such good things too. So the real essence of leadership, I think it takes the heart of a leader to really have, uh, really have that ability to influence people. Because leadership in itself, like I said, the core is influence. So there can be good influence, there can be bad influence. The difference
Mm,
between Hitler and Mother Teresa, they are all leaders, but it's just the heart of a leader.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Okay.
what, and that's what we're trying to work on. We are trying to create leaders with character and leaders that are competent, because you can be competent but don't have the right character, and that
Hmm.
just it become worse. And like they say, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
How much you care.
Yeah. So
I
we
think
are.
one of our big challenges in Liberia too is the question of ethics. Would
Yes.
you agree? I
Yeah.
mean, we
Yeah.
have that problem everywhere. Don't get me wrong. Even here in the United States, but I feel like, and I don't think Liberians are. Well, let me just put it this way. I feel like the system has broken down so much
Mhm.
that even if you are not predisposed to certain unethical things, that you're almost forced to do it just to survive. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I mean, it's that's responsibility on yourself. I mean, nobody can force you to do things that you are not wanting, you don't want to do. But there are some benefits to, just following the crowd to that. Like you talk about your livelihood. Most people in Liberia want to do things, in the best interest of they themselves and their family, and not the nation as a whole.
Well, I mean, I agree personal responsibility, but don't you think is really hard? And I know there are different levels of unethical actions or corrupt actions and stuff, but isn't it very hard to? I mean, like even in America,
It's
there's a
hard,
lot of
but
things. Somebody will
everything.
argue that even when you're driving on the road in America, everybody breaking the law every day. And you
Yeah,
might
but
ask how? Well, you're going above the speed limit. Speed limit says 45, but everybody driving at 60. So
Right.
but
you you're
Bobby,
supposed to.
we look at the consequences of your action. If you go, I mean, if
Mhm.
you are driving your 40-mile zone and you go 45,
Mhm.
how are you impacting? I mean, to an extent, sometimes maybe you might have accident, but the probability of doing that is different from somebody who you entrust, having to do a project for you, and it just invest that money where you have a lot of people. So to me, it's just apple and oranges if you want to say that people, because you're driving over the speed limit as compared to the corruption that's in Liberia, then I think it's not a fair,
Right. Let me
uh,
ask you a question.
equivalency.
Let me ask you a question. In regards to leadership,
Mhm.
what specific kind of leadership training are you providing? And the reason I'm asking this question is most times in Liberian culture,
Mhm.
we do not put things into the right perspective.
Mhm.
I'll give you an example. If a Liberian person is a general practitioner or let's say a lawyer,
Yeah.
he goes to law school.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, he becomes a lawyer for everything: maritime law, security law, personal injury law. Okay,
Mhm.
which you and I know that man is not qualified, even though he's a legal practitioner, but that's not his area of expertise. Same thing with doctors.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You know, in Liberia, when it comes to leadership,
Mhm.
there are different kinds of leadership. So,
Mhm.
what is your organization doing to make sure that in each of those different segments of leadership, you
Mhm.
have the right training?
Okay. if I understood your question right, I think you said there's different segment of leadership, but we are more like a self leadership. You know, you becoming a better leader for yourself, and it will trickle down to whatever area you are working in. So we work mainly with people, individual. You know, you can be an architect. You come to our summit. We just teach you the
So
quality.
more of self-empowerment,
We teach you the
self-awareness.
No, we teach you qualities of a leader, of a good leader. So we talk about character, we talk about competence. These are
So
just
more leadership.
morality can. I mean, what is moral in one place is it can be moral
Okay.
in another.
So okay, I enroll in your school or your
It's not a school.
your program.
It's not a program. It's like a summit event or so.
Okay.
So yeah, so
So
it's not a
people from
school.
different background.
Yeah. So
Because what I'm trying to say here is
mm,
the business leaders in Liberia,
mm,
their way of looking at what's right and wrong
yeah.
different from a religious leader where right and wrong, or from a community leader where right and wrong.
Yeah, but there are qualities of leadership that I mean is translating in any sector that you are in. You understand? So one of the
Give me an example.
one of the
Okay.
quality of a leader, you got to have a good character. So you can be a business leader and you don't have a good character. I mean,
So will you say that a business guy in Liberia who is very ruthless, like Goldman Sachs, charging the people, cutting through in business, that's good.
that's not good. I think that's profiteering. That's a lot of
But
stuff.
then what? Yeah, yeah, the companies with the most profit are the ones that we look at Fortune 500. That's
And
what.
that's why we come to the heart of a leader. That's why we come to the heart of a leader. So we're not talking
Okay, you
about.
see where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah, and I
Yeah, but
understand what you.
let me shift focus a little bit here.
Yeah.
Um, what what are some of the things that you need, Alil, when it comes to um your program in Liberia, or what would make it more successful? Let me just say.
Uh, the end goal is to create a leadership economy in Liberia. So
Okay.
that's the end goal. But now we just starting off, so we trying to just create a awareness, bringing people in together to just teach them the tenets of a good leadership. So
Let me ask you a question. So you have other people helping you with managing this event, right? Every year.
yes, my friend is in. He's one of the co-founder. Also, he's in Liberia and he has a radio talk show. He's working already in area of
Okay.
leadership in Liberia. So I partner with him and he's there.
Okay.
He's handling things. So what happens
What are
like
some of the challenges that you face in Liberia?
I think the biggest challenge in Liberia is the mindset. It's the
Okay.
mindset. And you talk about even the business leaders, like we pay for the hall, we had to go over there and clean the hall ourselves, help them to clean the hall.
Hmm.
The hall wasn't ready, it wasn't up to standard. There are things that we had to do that you will not ready to do in a developing country. Like if you in United States, you pay your money for a hall, you expect the hall to be ready for your program. So these are, I think, the main. If you ask me one thing, I would say the mindset of the people. And so a lot of people in Liberia have a fixed mindset, and we have to have growth mindset or teach people to how to develop a growth mindset in order for the country to go forward. Because you don't go
Okay.
forward, you go forward head first. If your head not right, every other thing won't be right. So that's our main
Okay.
focus to work on the mindset of the people in Liberia.
But you see, yes, that's been going on for a long time. For yes, there's been at least, let's say, from the religious side,
Hmm.
because I think most of the teachings when it
Hmm.
comes to moral leadership comes from the church.
Yeah, you are.
So Liberia is one of the most religious countries. We've had from Jimmy Swagger to every religious sermon. Every community got several churches, malls, and wherever, right? More than most countries in Africa, in my opinion. So, what is about Liberia that somehow, like you said, our mindset is just different from everybody else, that we can receive all this training. I mean, UN have a whole bunch of training. I like to joke and say, UN packed a bag and say, I went all these people after 25 years. And that's the truth. UN was in Liberia for 1991. UN did every training you can think about. The same thing with all the other programs.
I think we gave UN a lot of credit too in Liberia, not to take away anything for them, but UN were in Liberia too. They did some shady things that even people saw. So sometimes you don't even teach by your words, you teach by your actions. So,
I'm driving the word solution here. I explain, the devil's advocate, but I'm saying because I want to understand what is it about the Liberian man, right? Let me give you an example. The same Liberian man that people say, oh, these people don't go to work, or they go to work, they're on time, they leave for lunch, they don't come back, they drink beer. The same Liberian man goes and work at a U.S. embassy, and he's the first man there.
Yeah, because it's the environment too.
The system.
Other people.
The environment is system. When you work at the embassy, that we talk about mentality. So even though they're not in America, but they have the American mindset. So if you work there, you either confide to that mindset, to that institution.
But this institution is a failure of Liberian institution.
Let me come
in. Individuals. So you got.
Let me come in, gentlemen.
So I get it.
So it looks like there are two things involved here, Alex and Alil. Number one, we're talking about incentive that cause the same person, to behave differently in two different settings. So number one, the guy gets paid well at this job. He doesn't want to lose this job at the embassy, right? That's number one. Number two, he has a clear-cut system to follow, and he is aware of the two different systems. Okay, I always say you can have two brothers born into a poor family, didn't go to any top-notch private school in Liberia, just went to regular basic schools. One of them goes and works for the UN or the embassy, the US embassy, and the other one goes to work for government. They're both drivers, right? They will behave very differently.
Yeah.
Not and back to your point, Alil, the question of leadership. Now, you may know how to follow very well, but you may not know how to lead. So working at somebody's institution, when I say somebody, I mean it's already set up by an external entity. You working at that institution is quite different from, Alil or Alex, go set up your own company and implement those same standards. Number one, the people that work there, your same Liberian brothers and sisters, do they look at you as part of that higher standard at the UN or at the embassy? Or do they expect something different? In fact, they'll probably even tell you, my man, what are you trying to prove?
No, I disagree with you, Bobby.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Let's take the church, for example. People in Liberia, they obey their religious leaders more than people even in America obey their employer.
Yeah.
Liberia is a conservative country, yeah.
Exactly.
I think that's an Africa thing, but that's the
So it's not the problem of whether or not the leadership, the people are not willing to obey and follow instruction. They obey they obey Liberian. They worship Liberian leaders more than anywhere else. So what I mean, like if somebody is a minister in Liberia, right, and you went to work and say, you know what, I want you to come 5 o'clock. That person will come 5 o'clock. There's no, what you call.
But again, even you don't have to say if the leaders is coming at 5 o'clock. Liberian people will come at 5 o'clock.
Okay, so
let me come in.
That's what I'm saying. Everything right.
I disagree with Alex in this way. Okay, first of all, when you look at these institutions, there are different levels within the institution, right? The boss really doesn't have direct contact or influence on the guy all the way down there, right? You hope to put in place systems and structures. Clear example. Let's set up for the car. Let's set up, the fleet of cars. Let's set up GPS tracking. Let's set up a log system to log your call, log your drives, and gas usage and all that kind of stuff. There's a driver, there's a immediate supervisor, there's a supervisor, and then there's probably a unit director or whatever. Somebody along that line is going to use discretion when dealing with this driver. Okay? This guy is probably a buddy. Y'all went to school together. My man, I beg you, just cut me a little slack here.
What they do it here?
No, but
I mean, they do it here. They do it here.
Because the culture of accountability is different. Don't make it the same.
And Bobby, what you saying?
What you saying? That's exactly what the Federal Reserve doing now.
Yeah, they do it. The big boys do it.
And the big banks.
Here is the thing, Bobby. There is the thing, and I think Liberia is a small country too, and everybody know everybody, and sometimes the consequences for our action is not. It's overlooked, or we are not held to that standard to pay for our actions. So, for instance, if Bobby, I know Bobby mom, I know Bobby's sister, or maybe Bobby and my brother's son went to school together. So we are kind of close knit. So I understand. Sometimes enforcing these laws or so, you will be like hurting a family member or somebody close to you. So most of the time, the consequences of our actions are not met. So I think
that's not exactly what I was saying.
What?
I'll give you an example. If
I think Michael.
Yeah, she's trying to come in. Okay, she just needs to turn on her camera. If it could be the same group of people, okay, juxtapose them, put the same group of people, right?
But the same system on a different
the same people in a different system.
Correct.
Okay. Put them in. Put
all
of them
exactly the right
thing.
So what's the main thing prompting them to do the right thing in another system and not doing it?
Because
leadership, like you said, structure and leadership.
I think it's leadership.
What is seen as tolerable.
Okay. I think it's consequences for the action too, Bobby. Like
but that would be what's tolerable.
Yeah, it's consequences like that. That be honest.
So
the only reason why sometimes I go to Liberia, I don't drop. That be honest. That be clear. I don't drop things in the street, even though I see other people, because the mindset of dropping things in America, I know there's consequences for that. So when I go to Liberia, no matter what other people doing, I don't do that. The difference is
you see what I mean? You can regulate, everyone can be self-regulated, but we're talking about a nation progress, right? There are good people in Liberia. There are good employees in Liberia. There are people who have principles in Liberia.
Yeah.
Okay? But by and large, if you do not have a structure, you do not have a system that holds people responsible, more bad people will corrupt the society.
Good, but you need a tipping point. Like you need, I'm targeting 10%. If I can have 10% of people who would have that quality of leadership, I think Liberia will change. And
so you see that those 10% that you're trying to achieve,
they could be the tipping point. They could be the tipping point. The tipping point.
Yeah, 10% is good. If and I'll support you. Let me know how I can do that, because I feel like you can't bite off too much, bite off more than you can chew. But going back to this question of system and actually implementing a system, you see, if we were at the U.S. Embassy or at some international aid agency, Ali, you could tell me to cut you slack. I your supervisor. Hey man, can I use the car to go pick up my son or to take somebody to the hospital? If we're at the ministry, of education, I'll say my man go carry the car. But if we're at US Embassy, I'll say my man.
Correct. Because that's
My man,
what.
how
Do
come
you
I lose
think
my
people?
lawyer?
Do
I
you
put
think
it
people don't do
there.
it? Do you think people don't misuse the company property or property at the United States Embassy?
I don't think we should
Not
even
to the
try to
extent.
compare the U.S.
No,
embassy
I'm not
or
comparing
any.
to. I'm saying it's just a mindset. People do that, but they are when they are caught, the consequences is being faced.
So in other words, what you're saying
Yeah.
that regardless of people's mindset, training, leadership,
Mhm.
if there are disciplinary structure, people will follow rules.
Yes, and that's one aspect. But
Okay.
even create
If they
people,
want to,
that one aspect.
to
But even
exercise
create
the
Uh,
disciplinary
that's
structure.
one aspect. But even create that mindset with people. That's when the growth mindset come in. You create that mindset that people will look at the end before they even do start to even try to put people in the car that they are not authorized to pick up. They will look at
but,
the end.
but the mindset could be more charitable. The mindset could be more okay. Let me
You can
ask you a
still
question.
be charitable and follow the rule. Yeah,
Okay,
you can
but
still
what
be.
if the rule runs counter to society to humanitarian causes? Let me give you an example. I'm driving a UN car.
Mhm,
Okay,
mhm,
Yeah,
the law is that I'm not supposed to pick up anybody. That's not
mhm,
what you
yeah,
do.
yeah.
I'm coming from Buchanan to Monrovia. I
mhm,
see this pregnant woman on the road.
mhm,
She's having complication.
mhm,
She would likely pass away if I
mhm,
don't pour in the car.
mhm.
What do I do?
I mean, moral obligation
What do I do?
is to do good. I mean, everybody have that moral obligation.
Well, you teaching me in that leadership course that I should follow the rule and not
No, we
violate
said we
policy.
teaching that we talk about
I
the
don't think
heart
it's
of a
clear cut.
leader. We talk about the heart of the leader. We talk what's his intention. Is he picking up that lady to take money from her?
Okay, let's say I see the fine girl on the road.
Then that's different. That motive. Your motive
Hmm.
is to it's
So
different.
I'm saying, listen,
It's different.
that's a
You
bias.
comparing you
Yeah,
comparing you comparing
Okay, hold on.
saving
I see
somebody
this
life.
fine. Hold on, let me make the case. I see
Me
this
too.
fine is
I
at
know
night.
where you're end. I know where
No,
you're
no,
end.
no. Let me state my
I
case.
know where you're end. I
Because you
know where
let
see,
you're
him
heading
say his
to.
case.
let
Ali,
me
let
state
him
my
say his
case.
case.
I see this very beautiful girl on the road.
Mhm.
And I don't want her to get marked by somebody else, like, bro, it's dangerous.
Uh-huh.
So I pour in the car and take her to the next town.
Superman.
If I do anything immoral,
Superman. We
you
look, we
see
look,
what I mean?
we look at the intentionality behind your actions. I mean, if she's in a dangerous
Okay, let me give
area,
you another example.
if she's in a dangerous areas, that would make sense.
So let me give you, let
Again,
me give you another example. I'm
mm,
working for the Liberian government. I'm a custom official. I
mm,
have all these family members that depends on me. I
mm,
have all my community children that need to go to school, wherever thing that they all depending on me. If I don't, my salary is not sufficient to pay them.
mm.
So I go and I take a bribe. But my intention is I'm not taking the bribe to buy a Gucci shoe or anything. I'm taking this bribe to use to help that community.
Mm.
Am I doing anything wrong?
Is bribe legal or illegal?
Eh?
Is bribe legal or illegal? Bribery is it legal or illegal?
It's illegal just the way it's illegal
So
to
you can't even just from that logic, you already wrong. You committing crime. It's illegal. So
but there
there's
are moral laws.
no. It's not. It's morality is legality is what should be done.
So,
And
so that means if I'm driving a government car and I pick up a pregnant woman who needs to go to the hospital, that's illegal. That's
no,
wrong.
it's not illegal. It's not a law. Say don't pick up woman.
Which law say
Illegal.
you can't pick up pregnant woman?
No, no. What I'm saying, you'll be violating, you'll be breaking.
It will be a violation, but it's not
A
illegal to do
violation,
that.
a
For
company's
purposes,
rules
No,
is
no.
not
Let's say
law.
you're working for the government. Let's say you're working for the government, and the policy states that you'll be breaking the law if you took the government car and you just the way you take government car, you go.
No policy states that.
no,
No,
Policy
there
says
are,
you
there
can't
are
pick up
to
policies
some
that
pregnant woman.
extent,
no,
it could be
That
the
means
truth
you're breaking the law.
there are
to some
policies
extent.
you
But
use.
who is
Give,
the
give
government? The
me one.
government is
Give
for
me
the
one
people, by the
policy.
people, and of the people. So if you look
Aliu,
at, huh?
Aliu, hang
No,
on
but
one
I see
second.
you're moving. Yeah, I
Alex,
see what I'm seeing here.
give
No,
me
we're not
give me
moving the
one
goalposts. We're
policy.
not
You're
started.
seeing there.
Tutu,
That
when
is
I
that
started,
is
when
breaking
I
the law.
started, I
United
told
States
you,
embassies, Ali.
I
If
told
you
you it's about the heart of a leader. I gave you an example. I said Hitler is a leader, Mother Teresa is a leader. The difference between them is the heart of a leader. So that's why I told you, you make decisions that's in the interest of people that will benefit people.
yeah,
That
but
will,
everybody, what I'm saying now, Hitler, when Hitler was doing what he was doing, who told you occurred to him that he was not doing it for his people to protect the fatherland? You
I
see,
think I
no,
think we
no,
want
the
to.
point,
I think we want to go there tonight. I think we want to go there
the
tonight
point I'm trying to make, I understand what
because
you, the point, but get my point, get my point. The point I'm trying to make is, from an individual standpoint, everyone has different values in terms of morals.
uh-huh.
But you may look at, me doing this thing for society or me doing this to help my community. Somebody else will look at it and like, no, I will do something else that is better. So there's shifting views, in terms of
It can be shifting view that what you look at as a leader is it illegal that you're going to do to help your community. It's first of all breaking the law by itself is a crime.
no, no,
Okay.
I'm not talking about the breaking the law. I'm talking about in terms of decision and filing policy. Let's leave the law out of it.
Yeah. It's
Let's say you're working. Okay, let me give you another example. You are distributing food. You work for Ministry of Agriculture. Your job is to give food to people who are productive, people who are growing food and so forth. But then there are other people, like people who are disabled, who cannot be productive, who, do you give some of those other people food and assistance, even though your position saying that it will be misappropriation if you took the food and you give it to an elderly person who is not productive, rather than somebody, let's say you give in.
that's a screen. That's a screen,
But
and
those are decisions that people have to face all the time.
yeah, that's a screen. And again, that's why I would tell you it left with the heart of a leader to know and discern whatever situation or circumstances you are in to make a better decision that you can go to bed at night and be okay with your conscience. Better decision. It's just simple as that. Because I mean,
Let me let me
I,
come in a little
if you,
bit.
if you,
And this
if you, the
conversation is
devil don't need
interesting.
your
I don't know if
advocate.
you
The
guys are
devil is
aware of
No,
it.
no, what I'm trying to say, Ali, yeah, because the thing
the
that
devil
government
don't need your advocate. The devil is
the point I'm making is, but I see many programs and what have you, and they don't answer those questions. Like Western corporations, we know that the diamond mines, the investment banks, and so forth. What they do you think they have a shred of doubt that what they're doing is not the best thing for humanity when they're ripping people off, inflating prices to make a profit? They justify by saying, you know what, I will make $10 million and I will give some to charity.
Yeah, I mean that's a justification, but
So everybody can justify anything.
it's a right that you do. It's a justification. Oh yes, I mean, and we said it before. Like these people, they say like we providing jobs for the economy, and so we can do whatever. But does that
Exactly.
make it right?
But Alio, I think your what you're doing, okay, your initiative pushing moral leadership is good. But I think it's one half of
It's not even moral
having
leadership to an extent. It's just character, character. So it's not even
okay,
moral.
building character.
It's character,
It's
yeah.
kind of linked to morality.
It
But
kind
my
of linked
point
to
is,
Ali, that moral leadership you do. That's all it is.
No, character
I
is
think
good.
so too. But here's the deal. Here's the deal.
Mhm.
And I like to say that look, I'm not trying to measure myself against America or Europe or any of these things. You know what I'm saying? I think we should compare ourselves to ourselves. We shouldn't compare ourselves to anybody else because we should actually strive to be better than these countries, right? Like Alex is
So you don't
alluding to.
compare yourself with
No,
somebody else,
Bobby,
then
and
how
I
do we
will
know you're
disagree
doing
with that
well or good?
because yeah,
Well, I mean,
there are blueprints or there are people
You
in
have to
today.
compare. You have to make comparison.
Yeah,
That's the only
I mean,
in
well,
all All
You know what I
human,
mean?
all human development.
You can
What
because
I
if you
mean by
sit down,
that is
if you sit on
don't.
your own eyes, you don't even need to grow. You think you are the
Exactly.
yeah. So you need
Yeah,
to
yeah.
see, in comparison.
Let me
Sometimes,
rephrase it.
Okay,
Because
rephrase.
we're going in a different direction that I didn't want us to go in. My point is this. My point is this. Guys, we need some form of character and morality,
Mhm.
but we also need law enforcement. The law enforcement component is not there. Let's be honest. Look,
But the point Ali
there
is
are
And
people
who's going to enforce the law?
the
Who's
point
going
Ali
to
is
enforce the
making
law?
that
guys, give me 1 second. Let me
Bobby,
make my
who's going
point
to
now.
enforce the law?
exactly.
So the UN example that we're using, or the American embassy, the driver situation. I mean, everybody there, from the ambassador right down to the driver, I'm sure they do things that are not exactly by the rules sometimes,
Yeah.
right? But when you're doing it, you're fully aware that you're taking a risk, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
You're fully aware you're taking a risk, and sometimes there are consequences. If not today, it may be on record, and you may be affected down the line.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
coming back to Liberia,
Mhm.
um, like I said, I know Liberia very well.
Mhm.
And I mean well for Liberia. I want Liberia to change. But I also know
Mhm.
that we have a culture of impunity,
Yeah.
and we have low standards. Okay?
Elaborate on the low standard issue.
Okay, well, let me start with a culture of impunity.
Mm.
In Liberia,
Mhm.
because of the gradual breakdown of these societal structures, we're at a point where if I went to Liberia right now after so many years of being away, I would be shocked at what is acceptable.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, even in America here, the way Liberians interact with one another, when
Mhm.
we do interact with one another, it's almost a microcosm of what happens in Liberia.
Exactly.
But
I'm
it's
really
not that's a mindset. That's why I'm telling you. You can change the location, but if you don't change the mindset, you still operate with the same mindset. Bobby, let me just give you an example. The
Mhm.
only reason why you invited me on this forum today is because I promised you yesterday that I was going to attend a Lama meeting. And even though I had other engagement, I was there for a while and you saw my presence. And we're not looking for a perfect leader. We are looking for a trusted leader. We are looking for leaders that will say, I will do this, and they will go about doing it. They are looking for leaders that when we give you 100,000 to build a school in Zolowi, Nima County, we want you to build that school in Zolowi, Nima County. And so that's just the character aspect. I'm not talking about whether this person can do this, they can do that. No, I'm
now
just
that
looking
you
at
narrow it down, let me ask
yes,
you a question specifically to that.
yes.
In terms of competence, like you said, if somebody said they will build a school,
Yeah,
will do a job.
yeah,
Are you taking into consideration that most people have the will to do the right thing, but they don't have the capacity. So therefore, their lack of doing certain things is due to the limitation, either limitation in terms of knowledge. So let me give you a clear example of that. Let's say the Minister of Public Works, or
Mhm.
let's say the city mayor right now. City mayor.
By the way, full disclosure, Minister of Power and I was in school together with. So
Okay. So let's go to let use the city mayor, the city mayor like bro right now.
Mhm.
He may have the will
Mhm.
to want to clean the city and put structure and system and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
He doesn't have the capacity. When I mean capacity, not money or or assistance. He just don't know how. Yes, somebody who have never ran, a lemonade stand, and now you put a city of over 1 million people. Even if you know what I'm trying to say. So he may be
We
doing
got
things.
lemonade standing like, bro. We
Yeah.
got cool
So
bucket.
to that extent.
Okay, but you know what I'm saying? You know also grumpy. You know also grumpy. You know, okay.
To
Say with a
that
baggy.
extent,
You know,
how
but
did he get to that
Yeah.
position? How did he get to the position of a city mayor and not have prior leadership experience? How did he get there?
they see where how you get to presidency and legislator and senator. Every position that young people
No,
don't
these
have.
are the things. So that's why I'm
Let me
saying.
let me ask a question, and I'm glad you brought up the current city mayor.
Right.
With the exception of Mary Bro, who I think is different in terms of her leadership that I have seen recently in Liberia. Which other city mayor in recent times do you know that cleaned up the city?
I beg to differ. You, Mary Brewer was just as incompetent as any other Liberian who were there. What Mary Brewer
Okay,
did,
so my question still stands. Which other city mayor do you know that cleaned up the city?
I think the city mayor for Painesville, I think she did a good job. I don't know to what extent.
And then again, let make comparison when you say do a good job. When I see a city mayor or the Mary Brewer going for horse to horse, when you don't have no structure, you don't have no institution, when the whole job is depending on you, you gotta go be telling people, oh, break the thing down. That you are no, that's not management.
That's we can say that's a mark of a charismatic.
No, but you created no system. You created no system. You have no. It may look good to the Irish person, and you may be able to accomplish something.
But if
Alex,
you as a leader have
my
a
question.
Uh-huh.
You dodging my question.
What's the question?
My question is this: which other city mayor in Liberia that you know cleaned up the city well in recent time?
I think I heard about Painesville.
That's it since 1990.
I heard about Painesville city mayor. I don't know.
No, we're talking about Monrovia.
That what I'm saying. None. That doesn't mean okay.
So then I think I would give it to Mary. I would give it to Mary Bro.
Oh, but you see, and that's about a question.
Even though she was unconventional. She was unconventional, and I'm not promoting her leadership style or so, but at least she got something done.
What did she get done? There's sewage oil in the city. There's no organization. Hold on. Compare Monrovia. Let me give me.
You're talking about perfection.
We're not talking about perfection. I'm talking
about. That's. Like I'm saying, I'm not promoting.
Don't get personal because we're looking at it from a business standpoint.
I'm not promoting leadership style. I'm not. But I mean, like, under her leadership, at least there was some level of cleaning.
Yeah, but if you go to school, let me tell you something, Ali.
As compared to any other person in recent history,
Bobby, when you go to school and you make
I think we got some
comments and the U.S. government step. Yeah, President never showed that possibly. When you go to school, and that's the part where you say that we're in terms of our mentality. When you go to school and you make 50 or you make 30. Or you send your children to school, do you come by and say, at least my child did something compared to the child who did 20?
No, I'm saying, like I gave you the backdrop of the leadership. We don't condemn, we contribute, so that I'm not trying to condemn whatever that is going on. And you want everything to be perfect. I'm saying the smallest action is better than the biggest intention.
No. But yeah, well, I don't think it's condemnation. I think here's the problem here, right? Your job you do in America, you have minimum standard to do it. Every job you do in America, there's a minimum standard. They don't tell you say, oh, you did your best. And if you do that, meet that minimum standard, they fire you, they get rid of you.
Yeah.
Why when we go to Liberia, okay, or why when we see Liberians who don't have, and nobody asks for perfection in America, nobody tells you you'll be perfect, but they are minimum standard. Why we change it around when we get in Liberia now?
I'm not changing anything around, Bobby.
No, it's not specifically to you. It's specific generally.
I understand. We always want to bend the rule to suit our style.
We always want to bring it in. There's no standard. So if somebody made 30, when they can make 70, at least the person did okay.
Yes, and I'm with you, Choo. We always want to bend the rule.
Guys, the point I was trying to make.
We always want to bend the rule to suit our style instead of changing our style to suit the.
Ali, let me come in now. When people talk,
So I was in mid-flight and you tried to.
You're in mid-flight. Okay, sorry for
Yeah,
interrupting.
yeah.
But here's the I was trying to make a simple point.
Mm.
My point is there's a general lack of standards, and it goes across the board when it comes to, let's just look at being the mayor of Monrovia or cleaning up the city.
Correct.
Our standards are low.
But that's a
It's a
listing.
standard.
That's a listing for the mayor in Liberia.
Not low.
That's not for me. That's minute. That's very minute aspect of a mayorship in any country.
Correct.
You here in Bobby,
That's
when
low.
last you saw your mayor talking about cleaning the street in Atlanta? I don't even really know the mayor of my
Can I answer the
But
question?
that's not even what I'm saying. So because we don't have any standard. So when anybody comes there, you understand, and they take a broom and they clean one community, even though there's not no regular trash collection, there's no city community meeting. City hall is supposed to be having meetings with the people in the residences.
Mhm.
You have no address system. I say put an address there, but at least have some kind of system.
But like I said, everything rises and falls on leadership. So again,
Yeah, but hopefully you incorporate.
we have to create the type of leaders we want. We have to create or become the type of leaders we want. And let me, Bobby, you said something earlier on that I want to piggyback to. There was a guy that we had as one of our speakers. His name is David Wood Besa. He is one of the most. He's a pastor. He's the first pastor I heard in Liberia that called people to come and order his church.
Mhm.
He called people to order his church. So we have people in Liberia that are doing things
Well,
differently.
I said it. Yeah, good people there.
We have people that are doing things differently. We have good leaders in Liberia. But again, the bad leaders, which
Okay.
of course,
So
because
let me answer this question. I get
we
it.
suffer from the consequences of bad leadership, so it's overshadow whatever good
Okay,
leaders.
so let me ask you a question.
I mean,
Because
just
you raised
10%, just like any 10%.
you raised a good point, and I'll ask you this question, both of you guys, you gentlemen. Why is it when anyone strive for some kind of standard in Liberia, then the idea or the mindset is you're condemning other people?
I mean, that's just guiltiness for people. You know, everybody want to do what is wrong and think is right in their own side. So if you're different, you become threat to the
Yeah,
status
because anytime you raise the point or at least have minimum standard. Let's say even if you're running an organization or you even running a media, have an editorial board.
But even
I don't care if you pick all your friends, your relatives, but at least the minimum is
Can I
that
answer?
you will not be making all of the decision in terms of the public.
and Chuchu, I think
Can
it's
I
just
answer the
human
question?
nature. You got some of your friends when you started to focus on, like me.
Can I answer the
When I
question?
started to focus, Bobby, like, just 1 minute.
Mhm.
When I really started to focus on my education and start studying hard and start missing party, my friend was saying that you change, you so and so. So every time you try to become a good person or do what is right, you kind of challenge the status quo, and you kind of serve as a reflection for that own inadequacy. And so you being a reflection, some people don't want to level up, so they kind of bash you and kind of say,
I think the reason also, Bobby, I'll give it to you here. I think also because remember I was mentioning where some people don't have the capacity. If you don't know there are standards, then you see somebody when someone try to set a standard, and somebody who doesn't know that standard, they look at it now and criticize you. So I think that it's a lot of ignorance that goes on. And when I mean standard in all level, in ignorance is not a bad word, just means you don't know.
I know. What
Right? So if you don't know how a city is supposed to run, right? You in Liberia, I'm in Liberia. I've never been to Kigali. I've never been to Burkina Faso, because the reason why I mentioned that Maribro standard, I went to Burkina Faso and I saw what a clean city looked like and what a system looked like, where they can pick up the garbage from in every community, where there are people on every block that are responsible to sweep their area and pack the garbage. When I look at Maribro and I look at Burkina Faso, no comparison. But for people in Liberia who never travel all of Liberia, who don't even know what a city is supposed to do or manage, Maribro becomes
because it was different, and at least some people just try to appreciate small results than no results at all. You know, it's just
The part of leadership is striving for excellence. You're not going to be excellent, but if you teach our people that any little thing, it's just like you're going to go and vote.
hey, go back to the Liberian Leadership Summit channels. Everybody,
Part of leadership that'll give people a chance to talk to.
yeah, yeah, but you know, Choo have some nothing on him that you will make you talk.
Oh, you gotta stimulate the conversation because you have the flow.
Let me come in.
All right.
You see, when I'm on talk shows like this, my goal is not to convince the people that are on the show, okay, of the rationale of what I'm saying. The audience is out there. I'm making a point that's impacting somebody out there. When it comes to your question, okay, if somebody does something minuscule compared to what is generally accepted as standard out there, for instance, you mentioned Burkina Faso, compared to Monrovia under Mary Bro. Here's my take on it. I'm looking at things like, okay, so Maribro is doing this, or Jefferson Koji is doing, or whoever is mayor, and I know with Liberians in general, there's always a question or there's always an issue of talking rather than acting.
Yes,
it's free. Everybody does it. But my thing is, okay, how can I be one drop in that bucket to help clean up Monrovia? Okay, what can I do? Yeah, I'm busy. I have a job. I have kids. I volunteer a lot. But here's something that I see that I'm passionate enough about to talk about it a lot. But what am I doing to help to address it? So that's the thing. I think if I decide to go do something in Liberia, Alex, even if it's not up to standard, the fact that I'm doing it and so many others are not, I think that should be commended.
Yeah.
And I think I hope that I can encourage so many others to join me. And when there's a critical mass of people doing something, Monrovia will be much cleaner than it is.
Yeah.
That's how I think.
And Bobby,
you said it right, because I think sometimes you are not the one that's supposed to just do everything. Sometimes you could just be the seed planter. You know, just plant the seed. They see that, oh, Monrovia can be good, can be a clean city if we conduct ourselves accordingly. You plant that seed, and people from over there can be able to cultivate whatever seed you are planted, and it can grow into something good. That's all.
Okay.
We condemn when
Let me ask a question.
Go ahead, ask a question. You got I disagree with both of you on that point.
Okay.
Mentally.
That's fair enough.
Okay.
So here's my question, Alio. What do you think it would take to make like Monrovia clean? Just give me one quick answer, and then I'll ask the same question to Alex.
My quick answer would be changing the mentality of the people, because
all right, good.
Yeah, that's
Alex. What about you?
Standardization.
Standardized. What do you mean?
Meaning, what is standard for a clean city? If you don't know that, then how can you work towards it to meet it? And you know
it, right?
Where I said that I disagree with you guys on that point, because there have been people in Liberia who've cleaned their communities and cleaned their cities and cleaned their, have done. There have been a lot of Liberians who are doing things, positive things. There's no shortage of them. They've been doing it for decades. Our parents did things in things. But has that been enough to raise our standard to at least the minimum in the world? No. Is that going to be enough where you leave the responsibility of the entity that is responsible to show the leadership in what is city management with individuals who can choose to throw the garbage or who cannot? You cannot run a civilized community like that.
But Choo, you
Okay.
talk about this entity.
You guys are-
You talk about this entity, Choo.
We're coming back again.
So let me
These
tell you.
entities,
Hold
these
on,
entities are run by individuals.
let me learn.
These
No,
entities
no,
are
no.
run
We
by
say
individuals. They
short
don't run
answer.
themselves.
You see?
No,
You're the
but
problem.
I'm not
We say
trying to
short
go.
answer.
You
get
you
long answer.
No, I go faster, but you have more time.
The entities are run by individuals. So you can fix the entity
I'm
without
not
fixing the
talking about
people.
individuals. That's what I'm saying. I
You
think
can fix the
I
entity without fixing
understand.
the people, Bobby.
I'm trying to understand your logic. Your logic is that progress depends on people, individuals, personal effort.
Collectively.
If I understand it right, that if a person is a good leader, they attend programs and they know what to do right, other people will follow them, and you get 10% and you change Liberia. That's the premise of your logic.
Yeah, that's it. That's a tipping point for me.
All right, fine. Bobby looks at it as like, all right, the way in which you build a society is by just going in and making a change yourself. So if you're a mechanic, leave your profession and go and do something, all right, auxiliary stuff for the community, and by doing so, the community as a whole will change.
That's what
Yeah,
Bobby. That's what you say.
I believe that.
They drop in the bucket theory. They drop in the bucket
believe that
theory.
there's no one way. Let's forget about the development of Liberia. Let's just focus on cleaning Monrovia. There's no one way to clean Monrovia.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Where I live in Atlanta, Georgia, there's a road that I pass on. I'm trying to think of where I see this old man. I don't know if it was Smyrna or Alpharetta. There's an old guy that doesn't look like he works for the city management, city corporation, but he gets a bag and his long load.
And he picks your trash.
I got few on my screen. I see few on my screen too.
These are ordinary citizens that do it. There are some people that I used to live in a subdivision, and there was a guy in that subdivision that was just so concerned about how nice the subdivision is supposed to look. You get what I'm saying? Okay.
But Bobby, you're absolutely wrong on it. So are you telling me because that man that's picking up the oranges or the trash is what made Smyrna to be the city that it is? Or that what is what influence?
No, absolutely not. I was coming to make my point now.
Okay.
Of course, I don't think that's the reason why.
He's just commenting and seeing somebody little contribution.
Yeah.
That's it.
But you're trying to change our society.
No, he's not minimizing any centralization.
My point is
that collectively, if we all
to Aliu's point, those guys, their mindset is already transformed.
Yeah.
There's nothing that you can do that will make that guy dirty his own community.
That's just a mere hobby. Listen, personal hobbies. Okay.
No, it happens. It's not a hobby.
Well, even if Bobby that reduce it to hobbies.
Yeah, okay. You know what I'm saying? Somebody going
on. Happening in our environment. Is that era being?
I haven't seen
helping the environment, of course.
You guys on the same side. I got each of your point.
I'm not on the same side. I'm just being,
No,
but
me too. I'm just being truthful.
Yeah, but okay. Nothing else.
We got 6 minutes left, guys.
Yeah, 6 minutes. But before we close, nowhere else in the world, okay, where city is managed that way. There has been no civilization, no textbook that would say the way that London is the way it is, or Kenya or Botswana or Burkina Faso was just people in a community changing their mindset, and it made our city to be a beautiful city.
Well, let me ask you a very simple question.
Why should
let me ask you a simple question? If you get somebody, hold on, Aliu. If you get somebody that regularly sucks an orange and litters, or they suck Kool-Aid plastic bag and throw it out, and you take that person and make them a mayor,
people do it.
Is that city gonna be clean?
Listen to me. I live in New York City. People do it.
Yeah.
People throw things on the trash. People throw their cans everywhere every day.
So there's no
Yeah.
standard. There's no standard in
New York
New
City.
York.
And
There's no
when
standard.
huh?
There's no standard in New York City because you're a big standard person.
No, what I'm
I
saying
mean,
is there's
New
a
York
standard in
standard is
terms. Okay,
lower.
hold on. Yeah, what I'm saying.
New
So,
York standard is lower than
the
Dubai.
the
You
standard
understand?
is listen,
That's what I'm saying. There's standard, but it's
the
very
standard is
expensive.
the people have rules that every morning they want the city employee are supposed to go on every street and pick up every trash and drop it off. That's the standard. So if they do it for one day, for example, when it snow and the trash does not come that day, go look at that street. So the cleanliness or the city is not maintained by people individual goodwill or people. No, that's why you have a city what you call city waste management and city standardization. Why won't come to Liberia? We want just say all these things we learn in textbook how to manage city. It don't apply. Individuals should do it.
Nobody's saying that.
Let me just make my last point. To this point, guys, it's very simple. And I'm glad we're having this conversation because it's a very Liberian.
Very interesting.
It's a very Liberian conversation. Other people don't discuss like this. Here's my point. After a while, growing up in a certain system, if you grew up in a certain system, right? After a while, it becomes a part of you. And it's hard to deviate from it. That's why, that's why you don't have to really teach people here how to keep their city clean. By the way, you can compare probably Dubai is as far away from New York in cleanliness as Monrovia is from New York because you know it's just two extremes.
Yeah,
the place is very clean.
Yeah,
because the Dubai government pay employees every day to pick up every trash.
That's
not why.
I would say even though they pay people, Bobby, let me
you know why Dubai is clean? Because every single citizen is not throwing stuff on the ground.
That's not true.
So you said Dubai. I would say Singapore. Singapore is a country that is very clean because you don't throw trash on the floor.
Singapore is cleaner than Dubai.
Yeah. You don't throw trash on the floor.
But they have trash collectors and they have
even though they have trash collectors, but if you know the consequences of throwing trash on the floor.
Then a good city.
By the way, guys, this is not mutually exclusive. We're not saying that, look, everybody, the city can only be clean if everybody has a clean mindset, or if the government picks up all the trash from the street. It has to happen together.
No, but everywhere else, I can tell you, it doesn't happen because of the cooperation of the people. Because even here, like I said, people still throw the garbage. People still do the same thing. The only difference that I noticed is that you have an efficient. But anyways, we gotta agree to disagree. That's what the forum is.
I disagree with you because I think the collection of people, everybody effort is.
I think it's a combination of everything.
Yeah, I mean,
all right, let everybody get a closing statement. We'll go.
I too, I'm already not close. We were exhausted 2 hours.
Yeah, guys. I mean, it's
back on Monday, right? Next Monday.
Yeah, guys. It's good to be on this platform. Thank you guys for inviting me, and we look forward to a better Liberia. And how can we do that? Is to become the leader we want for our country. So.
Okay, and thank you very much, Mr. Mazale.
Thank you.
For me, Borby, my goal is platforms like this to spread knowledge and information. Number one. Number two is to go and act and do something and be a drop in the bucket. Thank you.
And my goal is to bring you guys with all this wisdom and experience. Yes.
So when you go into Liberia,
we deliver the news to your door. Breaking news, top headlines, the big story, the latest update, and all you need to know are only available on the African Actions Network, 2A Radio and TV.